Oh my niggas, today I bring you all a new topic, girlfriends. Now girlfriends are one of the many wonders of this world, and they can be a great part of your life. They can be a shoulder to cry on, a lifelong best friend, and they can really improve your life for the better. But for every great girlfriend that is born, there is a terrible girlfriend that is also born. And that's what I'm here to talk about today. Characters that were terrible girlfriends.
Okay.
In this series, I'm going to be talking about some of the worst girlfriends and significant others to ever exist. So y'all know the drill. Sit back, relax, send me a picture of the front and back of your credit cards, and get ready for a show. Narrated by yours truly. Let's get into our first character.
That girl. The girl next door. Mary Jane Watson.
She belongs to the streets.
I'm a huge Spider-Man fan. It's been that way since I was little. And this trilogy right here were the first Spider-Man live action movies I was able to watch. And as a kid, I was more concerned with the fights and the villains. But as I've rewatched this and put more info into my brain, I'm not gonna lie, Mary Jane is the villain Spider-Man should have been fighting. So let's get into it. So in the first Spider-Man movie, we see Mary Jane, and she doesn't seem too bad. She just seems like a regular girl. But then we see that she is dating a bully named Flash. And not just any bully, this is the bully that also bullies Peter Parker. So it's shown pretty early that she doesn't make the best choices for relationships, which really should have been the first sign for Peter to stay far away from her. So Peter ends up getting his powers and figuring out all his spider abilities and stuff. And Peter is clearly taking a liking to Mary Jane at this point. So now they are done with school and it's graduation time. And this is where Mary Jane's first offense comes in. And of course, since it's graduation, Mary Jane gives her boyfriend a gift. The gift of being single. Yeah, she breaks up with this nigga on the day of his graduation. Now, I'm not gonna lie, I do think this person wasn't the best person for her to be dating, but breaking up with someone during graduation is crazy. And you're probably thinking she took a while to get over Flash. No. She immediately got with Peter's best friend, Harry.
Wow.
Man, what the fuck?
So as you can see, she is slowly turning into a terrible person. But now it's time for her to really turn to the dark side. Peter ends up running into Mary Jane, and she asks Peter to catch up sometime, which isn't technically cheating, but she also tells him, which is definitely pretty sus. So one of the next signs we see of MJ not really being a good girlfriend is she doesn't really seem to like Harry, which is kind of weird since, you know, they're dating. She doesn't even want to kiss him. So then Green Goblin shows up and two major things happen during this. Harry gets knocked out, and Spider-Man ends up saving Mary Jane. And as soon as she gets home, she tells Harry how amazing Spider-Man is. Mind you, he just got knocked out today. She didn't even ask how he was doing. Then before he can even say anything to her, she just hangs up.
Oh my goodness.
Emotional damage.
Then we get the famous scene where Mary Jane is saved by Peter and she kisses Spider-Man in the alleyway. Now this might look romantic, but nah. Now this is not romantic if you really think about it. So let's break this scene down. Mary Jane is still dating Harry. She just recently asked Peter on a secret date not too long ago, and now she is kissing Spider-Man, which at this moment she doesn't know Spider-Man is Peter Parker. So she was willing to passionately kiss a masked stranger while in a relationship.
I don't understand why you even did this to yourself. This made you look so fucking stupid. This shit make you look so stupid.
And look how happy she is after it. She never smiled like this with Flash or Harry, but a random kiss from a nigga in a skin-tight spider suit got her this geeked up. So at this point in the story, Peter's aunt ends up in an accident, and Mary Jane shows up and is having some pretty interesting dialogue with Peter and being very flirtatious with him. And then Harry shows up at the hospital, and this was probably weird for everybody in this moment, because Peter is emotional about his aunt. Mary Jane is still having orgasm aftershocks after her moment with Spider-Man, and Harry is watching his girlfriend be flirty with Peter and still talking about Spider-Man after everything she's done so far.
She belongs to the streets.
And then shortly after this, Green Goblin snatches up Mary Jane, and let's give it up for this scene. She finally got some damn karma. So Green Goblin dies, which was really Harry's dad. Then to end off the movie, she breaks up with Harry, and she kisses Peter at Harry's dad's funeral.
I gotta watch.
Is this nigga serious?
She has terrible timing for stuff like this. Her first boyfriend got broken up with the day of graduation. Then she kisses Peter while at Harry's dad's funeral. This is evil, man. Even if they weren't together, this was just nasty work. So now we are into the second movie. And this is where Mary Jane has embraced the evilness within her heart, because she is a demon in this movie. Not even 30 minutes into the movie, she is trying to get Peter to tell her that he is in love with her for whatever reason. And when he doesn't, she tells him,
I'm seeing somebody now.
Nigga, what was the point of doing all that then? You were touching his face and crossing all kind of boundaries. If you were seeing someone, you shouldn't be pressing someone to confess feelings for you. So Mary Jane ends up having a play, and she invites Peter to come watch. But of course, since he's also Spider-Man, he had to go do Spider-Man shit. And Mary Jane is so pissed that Peter missed her play that she ends up agreeing to marry this astronaut guy named John. She doesn't even like this dude either. She just did this out of spite. Do you know how evil you have to be to do something like this? She agreed to marry him just to get back at Peter missing a play. And then she goes to make the same guy get into the position Spider-Man was in to recreate the kiss that he gave her. So even as she's engaged, she's still thinking about Spider-Man. Then Peter ends up doing what I did after Marvel Rivals Season 3, and he gives up on being Spider-Man. He leaves the suit and just focuses on being a regular guy. Then he ends up seeing Mary Jane again and finally confesses his feelings to her. But this time, Mary Jane rejects Peter because now she's faithful and happily engaged.
Kiss me.
Yeah, she ended up meeting Peter again and then tries to kiss him in public with her wedding ring still on her finger.
She belongs to the streets.
She's not even hiding this shit at this point. So karma comes at her again, this time with Doc Ock taking her hostage, which of course Spider-Man defeats after a while. Then we see that Peter does want to be with Mary Jane, but he also knows that being a superhero is very dangerous, so he lets her know that they probably shouldn't be together. And this just adds more fuel to the fire for MJ. Just when I thought she couldn't get any more toxic, she ends up ditching the wedding with John to go see Peter. She had so much time to call off this wedding, but she didn't. And she didn't even tell John face to face. She sent someone else to deliver him the message. This is really crazy to me, so let me get this right. MJ isn't afraid to break up with someone on graduation, kiss the best friend of your ex at his dad's funeral, or go out in public and cheat with your wedding ring on. But she couldn't tell John to his face about this before she ran off?
Yeah. Bro, shawty trifling. She must be from Dirty Dogs.
Yeah.
Shorty trifling.
Oh God.
She must be from Dirty Dogs.
That's what I'm saying.
I feel so bad for this guy, man, because he actually seemed to really like her a lot, just for this to happen the day of your wedding. And weddings aren't cheap, especially not this one. I can look at this wedding and tell it cost a lot. I don't even think I would have been able to handle this happening to me. I probably would have just self-destructed after reading that message. And look how happy she is leaving the wedding. That's one thing I noticed about her throughout this whole trilogy. She smiles the most when she's being a terrible person. And this is not cool on Peter's side either, because the only reason she left her husband was because she just found out that Peter is Spider-Man not too long ago. So she's not really even into Peter for real. She just wants to be with Spider-Man. But this movie ends off with them getting together, and I'm not gonna lie, I was not happy that Peter got with her after all this bullshit. You would think that his spidey sense would have sensed she was a dangerous person, but it never happened. So now we move on to the last Spider-Man movie, and this is my favorite out of the trilogy. And not because of Mary Jane's evil ass, it's because of this right here.
I think it was my favorite also.
I know y'all see how clean this suit is. To this day, this is one of my favorite superhero outfits of all time.
Yeah,
but now let's get into the last movie in this trilogy. So at this point in Mary Jane's life, her career is going terribly, which I'm definitely not secretly happy about, I promise. And with the decline of her career, she starts to be envious of Spider-Man, which is pretty dumb to me. Spider-Man has been getting a lot of attention since the very first movie. She also just got with Peter because he was Spider-Man. And realistically speaking, I don't know why she ever thought she was going to be able to get more public attention than a nigga in a skin-tight spider suit that can shoot webs from his hands and stick to the wall. Now, I will mention during this time, Peter did kiss a girl named Gwen, and that wasn't right. Even though it wasn't a crazy kiss, it was still cheating and shouldn't have been done. And of course, MJ is mad at Peter, because cheating is bad. Unless, you know, it's her doing it. So what does this lead to? More cheating. She ends up hooking up with Harry again, doing some weak-ass dance moves, and look, there it is again, that MJ toxic smile. Then she kisses him.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck, man?
Next, Peter tries to apologize to Mary, but she breaks up with him. But this wasn't because of her normal hoish tendencies. She did this because Harry told her to. So let's give her a pass on this one. So after that, Peter comes in contact with the symbiote, and he starts changing into a completely different person.
You a fucking bitch. Yo, hold on, wait, what I said? I don't fuck with no bitch, friend. You see how I do things?
He ends up taking Gwen to the place that MJ works just to get back at MJ. Now, doing this was definitely not okay, and this scene was also very cringe, but one important thing does happen. Yeah, Peter actually hit MJ. Now, was this the right thing to do? No. Was this an understandable crash out? Yes. And did I enjoy every second of this scene?
I'm sure you did.
And the movie basically ends with Peter and Harry saving Mary Jane. I personally wouldn't have saved her, but they did, so I guess that's cool. Harry ends up dying, and the movie ends with the whole happily ever after type thing, but I doubt that actually happens based off everything we've seen her do so far. Alright, now it's time to talk about the key points on why Mary Jane is a terrible girlfriend. She cheats on every single one of her significant others. She's okay with kissing random dudes. She's very manipulative, doesn't ever take accountability, leaves her husband the day of the wedding, envious of her own boyfriend, and never fully becomes faithful. Alright, now it's time for the next character.
Before they got married. At their wedding, on their wedding day, so he wasn't her husband. I don't know this part.
This nigga is crazy.
Now this is a character that I had to do a good amount of research on. She's from a show called Codename Kids Next Door. The show is about these kids that have formed this global organization that protects kids from adults. And each kid under the program gets assigned a number as their name. The main characters are number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and number 5. And Lizzie doesn't show up too often, but whenever she does, she is insane. So let's get into it. So in this episode, number 1 flies off somewhere saying he has work to do, and he tells everybody else to take the day off. So because they got the day off, they end up going to the carnival. And while they are doing carnival shit, they see number 1 with Lizzie. And he's supposed to be working right now, but they caught his ass. And the rest of the team didn't know number 1 had a girlfriend, so everyone is shocked. And by the look of his face, I can tell he did not think that they were about to show up.
You want me?
Yes.
What are you? Whoa, chill out!
What?
What are you doing?
It's just for Snapchat, you know.
Why are you recording though?
What's the issue?
Bro, all my homies see that, they're not gonna roll with me no more.
And then number 1 starts capping his ass off, acting like they aren't actually going out.
She's got a girlfriend. I do not.
Stop the cap. Stop the cap right now.
Now this was lame of him to do, I'm not gonna lie, but wait till you see what Lizzie does after this. So the next day, they are walking, and Lizzie also happens to be outside. And she ends up getting him a present with a helmet in it. Aww. And at first I was confused as to how she found the perfect size for his weird ass head shape, but then I realized she got the same head too. Then he puts it on and walks off. But then she pulls out a remote for the helmet, and turns out this helmet is controlling his brain so that he will spend more time with her.
I'm going to hang out with Lizzie instead.
And she ends up forcing him to take her out on a date. Then the kids next door look through a magazine, and they end up finding the device that Lizzie gave number 1. And I don't know what kind of magazine this is or who all has access to this specific magazine, but this is a wild machine to have. And then they find out that the effects of the helmet become permanent the more the person wears it. And he is going through it, but Lizzie is enjoying every minute of it.
Turn that shit on! Turn that trash ass!
Then she reveals that she is doing all this to take number 1 away from his friends. And number 1 manages to tell her that he likes his friends, and she turns up the lever on the remote and controls him to say,
I will never see my stupid friends again.
And she's smiling and acting like he genuinely said that shit too. Then the kids next door pull up ready to free number 1 from his abusive girl. But she uses the remote to make him fight them. And I don't know what kind of sleeper agent helmet this is, but number 1 got strong as hell. He lifts up a whole 10-year-old with one hand. Mind you, he's also 10. So as they are fighting, eventually they overpower him. But then Lizzie turns the power to maximum, and he breaks out and goes right back to eating. Then we see number 1's head start to latch onto the helmet. Then the waiter brings the check back, and this causes him to bust out of the helmet. And the craziest thing about number 1 is he actually went to get ice cream with her after all of this. That helmet must have really fried his brain, because there's no way I'm doing anything with her after all of this. But yeah, I think giving your boyfriend a brainwashing helmet, then controlling him to spend time with you, making him try to take out his own friends, and then taking him on a date he can't afford solidifies you as a terrible girlfriend.
If you're gonna do
all
all
right,
that,
time for the next character.
He ain't really a boyfriend. Stop, Bella.
Seconds later.
Oh my god, bro. Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
Now I'm actually a fan of the Twilight Saga movies. But Bella in these 5 movies is one of my least favorite characters of all time. And not just because she doesn't really do much and is extremely awkward, but she made a love triangle with Jacob and Edward for no reason. Now, Jacob and Edward definitely weren't the best people either. They also did some questionable things throughout this whole series, which I plan to talk about in a later video. But right now, let's talk about Bella Swan. In the first Twilight movie, Bella moves in to live with her dad, Charlie.
Yes,
and this is also where she meets Edward. And they slowly become romantically entangled. Then Bella finds out he is a vampire. And at this time, Jacob is a minor character in the plot. But he does show an interest in Bella as well. And to be honest, this first movie doesn't really have Bella do anything too crazy. She does miss a good chunk of school though, which actually gets worse the more she falls in love. But the most important 2 things are that she meets Jacob and she falls in love with Edward. So in the next movie, shit really gets wild. So during this movie,
she didn't really meet Jacob. I'm not sure how to put this. Her and Jacob knew each other already from their childhood, but I think because he was older and she hadn't seen him in a while, she forgot how he looked. Is that considered meeting? Because I think she met Edward, but I don't know. Maybe it is. I think she just re-met Jacob.
Edward and Bella are still together, and Jacob is slowly trying to get closer to Bella. He wants that side nigga spot real bad. And this is also the start of when I started to consider Bella a bad friend, a bad daughter, and most importantly, a bad girlfriend. Because as I rewatched this movie and put myself in the shoes of both Jacob, Edward, and her friends, I realized she is just terrible at everything. So Edward invited Bella to his house, which was a terrible idea, since they are all vampires and she's a human. And as soon as she shows up, she gets a paper cut, and this causes Edward's brother to tweak out. So Edward ends up leaving Bella and going to Italy because it's too dangerous for him to date her. And now they are officially broken up. And Bella is hit really hard with this breakup. She doesn't do anything for like 4 months. She doesn't go to school, she doesn't shower, and she never leaves her room.
I'm not gonna lie.
So then Bella finally ends up doing something, and she goes to the movies with one of her friends. And then she meets a group of bikers and starts to see visions of Edward. And this is where she starts doing a bunch of wild shit just to see these hallucinations of Edward. And this is also where she starts to really like Jacob and give him hopes of being with her. She asks him to fix 2 bikes so that they can ride together and spend time together. And of course, Jacob is down for this. But she's only doing this to see visions of Edward. Now, she's not dating Jacob right now, but she definitely knows that he likes her. And she definitely has intense feelings for him too. And for her to be doing all this with the guy she knows likes her, while she's only doing this to see her ex, is pretty awful in my opinion.
That is.
So Jacob starts being distant towards Bella, and this causes her to go check on him at his house. And this is where she finds out that he's a wolf. But she's still trying to see Edward's illusions, so she ends up jumping off a cliff and hitting her head on a rock just to see him. Jacob ends up rescuing her, and this is where she starts to show more romantic feelings for Jacob. They damn near kiss right here. But then the phone rings and turns out Edward was on the phone. And Bella switches up immediately. She completely ditches Jacob, ditches school, ditches her dad, and ditches everything she was doing to go fly all the way to Italy to see Edward. And I know this had Jacob in shambles. He finally thought he had a chance. He rebuilt 2 bikes from scratch just for Bella and him to spend time together. And he saved her from literally dying, all while she was giving him romantic signs. And her ex calls and she hops on a plane and goes to see him immediately. Yeah, I would have had to crash out and bite a few niggas after getting played like this. So this movie ends off with Jacob and Edward getting into some beef that Bella ends up getting into the middle of. And she also asks Edward to turn her into a vampire. And Edward doesn't want to do this for 2 main reasons. 1, he wants her to have a regular life. And 2, it could actually kill her. But Bella doesn't take no for an answer, which is another thing I really don't like about Bella. She doesn't ever listen. And it's not like this is some random person telling her no. This is her boyfriend. The nigga she dropped everything for and flew to Italy to go see. But she won't listen to him. So this forces him to make her a deal. If she marries him, he'll turn her. And this is kind of sad for Edward and later Jacob as well, because Edward has been against turning Bella since he met her, and she's literally not listening to what he's saying. Alright, I know I filled y'all's heads with a lot of info, so let's get the key points out the way. She led on Jacob, she used Jacob to see illusions of Edward, got really close to Jacob, then immediately left him when Edward called. And she also forces her boyfriend to do something he's told her that he doesn't want to do. Alright, now it's time for Eclipse. So in this movie, there's an army of vampires being created to take out the Cullens and Bella. So both the werewolves and vampires team up to protect Bella and the people of the city. And one day when Bella is going to school, Jacob pulls up and she goes to hang out with him. So now Bella starts spending a lot of time with Jacob. And I really don't know how Edward is putting up with this behavior, because there's no way I'm staying with my girl if she's constantly hanging out with another guy that clearly likes her, and she obviously somewhat likes him too. And during one of these trips, Jacob confesses his love for Bella and tries to kiss her. And this goes really bad for both of them. Jacob gets rejected, and then Bella gets her hand broken. Now this specific time, I'll give Bella a pass, because even though she was misleading him and giving him mixed signals so far, there should never be kissing or touching without both parties wanting to engage, regardless of anyone's true feelings. Now I've never been a girl before either, but I think at this point I would be pretty done with Jacob after all of this. She knows she's going to marry Edward. She knows she wants to be a vampire, and Jacob just forcefully kissed her. She should really be done with this nigga at this point and just be happy with Edward. She ends up surprisingly graduating, despite her missing literal months of school and ditching every day. And at the graduation party, Jacob shows up and gives her a bracelet. This isn't too important, but it does further show how Bella just keeps stringing this nigga along for the ride. So now we're at the point where it's time for war. But of course, Bella's dumbass isn't taking anything serious and starts trying to pressure Edward to give her some vampire wiener. And this is another instance of her not respecting boundaries. Because the reason Edward hasn't been wanting to get too freaky with Bella is because he's strong as shit and could really hurt her. And because she's so pushy about this, he agrees to try it out once they're married. Then we get a nice scene of Edward pulling out the engagement ring, and they're pretty happy about it. Now it's time for the awkwardest part of this whole story. So as everyone is preparing for the battle, Edward and Bella go up on a mountain so that they can be away from the fight. But during this, it gets really cold up there. So Jacob ends up having to warm her up by cuddling with her. And Edward just has to sit there and watch this happen, all while being able to read Jacob's thoughts the entire time.
Ain't no way, boy, I wanna be this one.
But Edward has to get his get back. So in the morning, Edward starts talking to Bella about their marriage stuff, and he's doing this knowing Jacob is listening. And this makes Jacob tweak out. And this is where Bella kisses Jacob to calm him down. And not a little kiss either. They were getting busy. This is foul, man. They didn't even brush their teeth. And Edward is like right around the corner. And this kiss was what finally made Bella realize that she was really in love with Jacob too. And this was wrong on so many levels. She literally just got engaged to Edward the other night. And now she's having a full-on makeout session with Jacob. And then the movie ends with Edward and Bella getting ready for their wedding. So with the last two movies, they don't have too much foolery in them, but Bella still does act really sus in these movies. So Bella and Edward get married, and she ends up having a very intimate dance with Jacob that really doesn't seem right to me, especially on the day of your wedding. Just look at him. She just seems a little too excited right now for my liking, but hey, it is what it is. Then Edward finally gives Bella some vampire sex, and this ends up with her getting pregnant. And the name she picked out for the baby, if it's a girl, is Renesmee. And if it's a boy, it's Edward Jacob. This shit pissed me off so bad. There's no way you're naming your child after your side nigga, bruh. Luckily though, it did turn out to be a girl. Then Jacob ends up imprinting and forming an eternal bond on the baby.
He didn't say anything about it. I keep going back over this and say something.
Which is kind of weird, but I'm not a wolf, so I don't know how that shit works. And that's pretty much it for this story. I think Bella was really manipulative. She strung Jacob along for so many years. She flip-flopped between both of them every damn movie. And she always pushed Edward to do things he didn't want to do. I feel really bad for both Edward and Jacob. I think they deserve someone who knows what they want and can fully commit. All right, time for the last character.
Who is the last? I don't know who she is.
Now this girl is kind of a complicated character because I truly think her heart was in the right spot. Kinda. She's from a manga and an anime called Fruits Basket. And this is Kyo. Now they aren't technically together, but in her eyes they are. So I figured I could include her crazy ass on this list. So let's get into why she's so terrible. So Kagura met Kyo when she was 7 years old. And both her and Kyo were born as zodiacs, which means they have a spirit animal inside of them. Kagura is a boar and Kyo is a cat. But Kyo had it much worse than her because due to him being a cat, people despised him and didn't even want to be around him. So Kagura sees this and she's like,
You're a victim.
There we go, CSI.
So she ends up befriending him out of pity for what he is. Alright, now it's time for me to tell y'all the crazy shit she does. So she ends up threatening Keo into being with her by using a knife.
Is this nigga serious?
Then she tries to wear Keo's bracelet, and this bracelet is the only thing stopping him from turning into this.
What is that?
And Keo doesn't want her to have it, but she ends up taking it by force, and then Keo's true form comes out. So this scares her and also made his mom stop letting him come out. So this obviously caused Keo a lot of pain, but Kagura wasn't worried about that at all. Instead, she forces herself to love him in order to make herself seem like a better person. This is where her worst trait comes out. Once they get a little older, she gets a lot more aggressive with Keo. The relationship is completely on her terms. She's literally beating him up just to get him to go on a date with her. And she beats him up multiple occasions. It's damn near every episode. And since they are together, at least in her eyes, this is messed up. Not only is she forcing herself to love him out of pity and forcing him to be in a relationship with her, but she's always abusing him daily. She's hitting this nigga Keo with full-on face punches just because she missed him. Then she'd have the nerve to partially blame it on Keo. She the type to ask you,
would you love me if I was a worm?
Then body slam you if you say no. There's one scene where she does him so dirty. She throws him through the door, jumps after him, grabs his leg, and just look at her face right now. This is not a girl you want to be with. Keo, I get it, bruh. Then she starts swinging his ass around like a helicopter, then slams him on the ground.
Who did this to you, my love?
Oh, the homegirl abusive. The homegirl domestic violence.
But she does end up somewhat calming down and accepting that he doesn't want her later on in the series. But she put my guy Keo through physical and mental hell for a long time. And yeah, that's it for today's video. Hope y'all learned something today and had a great time. Also, shout out to my amazing girlfriend. She helped out a lot with this video, especially the Twilight section. I'ma also try to drop a surprise video for y'all around Christmas time. But I'm tired of talking to y'all. Cue my outro music.